Yeah, so I mean, I would say that we work with a real wide range of clients from many industry sectors. I think the thing that is consistent about the type of client we work with is that essentially they're probably medium to large organisations, probably not companies that you would define as high household brands, not necessarily FMCG, but on the whole, well-established large organisations. So, for example, we work with a couple of airports. We work with the UK's largest private property company. We work with the world's largest joinery business and a large Ford retailer. So that's a real mixed bag of customers. But really the consistent theme amongst them is that they need a partner that can manage and support their entire sort of digital footprint and support them with strategic guidance as well as obviously implementation. Clients that we work with usually find themselves in a situation whereby they're either looking at a project that is a complete ground-up build. The website or system they may currently have is, out of date and needs a complete rethink. So that involves strategy and delivery. Other situations might be that the technology that they're using is out of date, but essentially the front end and the architecture of the website is solid. So they want to re-platform. And we will help them through the process of selecting the right technology and making that migration across from what is probably an out-of-date platform to something much more current. Other situations, we might work with a client in the discovery or planning phases so that they can get a sense of the direction that they should be moving their digital strategy forward. And that kind of discovery and planning phase is often about feasibility, trying to understand what the market opportunity is and whether or not, or what rather, they should be investing their digital budget into. So there's a mixture of situations there. And I guess finally, and often the situation is that they're just not getting the right level of support with their current partner. And at Quba, we've been established over 20 years. We've got a really solid support service called Quba Care, which we can go into an organisation, we can look at their digital landscape and appraise them. We can do a code audit, and then we can work out, okay, well, what is a list of issues that need immediately fixing, and then we can get them onto a solid support contract and work with their team towards, building a digital strategy that benefits the organisation going forward. The challenge is really that we are sort of having conversations with at the moment are really to do with making the right choice of technology. An organisation, for example, like an airport, that is deciding how to deliver digital services over the next 5, 6, 7 years has to make a really significant choice in terms of the technology platform they're going to build their website on. And there's a lot of choice out there. Compared to 10 years ago, the range of digital platforms has just multiplied. And once you've introduced cloud solutions, headless, as it's known, that opens up a complete other area of technology to consider. So often organisations, it's not a frequent purchase buying a web platform. So they're grappling with what is the right choice to make and what are the internal requirements and the external needs of their users that really sort of drive that decision forward, and we can help them with making that choice. So that is a key decision, really. Other challenges that organisations are faced with, for example, is the transition to bringing internal services and systems that may be legacy systems, and they want to make that data and that content accessible to existing customers, but also new customers via the website. And that is a big challenge because a lot of mid to large organizations have, systems that are many years old. And the way that those are delivered through a website is quite complicated. That integration process is challenging. But also, it's a process that needs to be done in stages. It's not necessarily practical to go straight from a traditional way of selling to a way of selling that is entirely digitally delivered. So, for example, we work with a large Ford retailer, and the landscape for car sales, as everyone will know, has completely transformed over the last 10 years. So this particular client is managing the transition from traditionally selling off a forecourt to actually competing with some of the big online retailers and transitioning that sales process, steadily to an online model. So making adjustments like that are significant for organizations, and they need to be managed, with a partner like Quba over time and in a way that is transitioned so that it's not creating upheaval internally, and it's moving the business forward in a steady format. Jolwyn is a global joinery business. We manage the UK and European web estate, and Jolwyn have acquired, I would say, probably 7 businesses throughout Europe. And what they have aimed to do over a period of the last 5 years is bring all those sort of websites that they've inherited through acquisitions onto a single footprint, using a single technology, and that creates vast economies of scale digitally. It creates consistency across marketing delivery, and it allows them to standardize the product data that they're delivering through those websites, through their internal product database. So one of the big challenges that we've faced is bringing that internal data through their in-river product management system through to the website and making it accessible to customers in a way that's right for customers, so that they can search the right products, so that they can access information in a timely manner and across multiple European locations, multiple languages. So that process of standardizing a digital footprint and bringing in content from internally in an organization is a big challenge, and one that we've tackled on a number of occasions now. So Jolwyn is a good example of that. Last year we began working with Network Webcams, which is one of the largest online retailers, sellers of security systems. And it's an organisation that's been established for probably 20 years, and they were very early to the market actually in selling online. As a consequence of that, they've been on what we describe as an out-of-date e-commerce platform system that really is becoming, or had become, just too out of date and was becoming slow to react to, and just didn't have inbuilt functionality that customers expect through a modern system. So the challenge with Network Webcams was to migrate their business, and it's 90% delivered online, so this is business critical, is to migrate their business from an out-of-date legacy system to a cloud system, and we use BigCommerce in this instance, which is a headless cloud system, the latest technology. But the challenge is migrating 15 years worth of content from various digital sources and 2,000 SKUs, products, with multiple related content, to bring that onto the cloud system and launch that in a way that transitioned the business in a seamless fashion. And that was a big challenge. So for organizations like Network Webcams, they are making a huge transition in their business that is going to set them up to deliver and be a competitive organization for a number of years. But it's a process that needs to be managed in a very strategic and carefully planned manner. Otherwise, there is just multiple opportunities where situations just won't support the business need if we're not careful. I think for digital directors, the big decisions are obviously making choices about the partner that they may be using. So like an agency like Quba. Often decisions are made in relation to technologies that are not fully supported by a partner that has accreditations and certifications in that technology. And that kind of begins to show in the way that the technology is managed and supported. And once a system like that starts to become creaky, then it causes problems for marketing teams and internal content teams. And that causes frustration for organizations. And digital directors have to manage those teams and have to manage that level of dissatisfaction. So when it comes to a point where a decision has to be made about whether or not a change in partner is required, then we will often do what's called a code audit, and that will do a complete ground-up review of their internal technology that they're using and make recommendations about how that can be improved and supported ongoing. So for digital teams to make that decision to transition away from one partner to another is a big decision. The other sort of big choices that digital directors are making obviously relate to new technologies, cloud technologies. So using cloud more effectively. Azure, we're an Azure partner. Azure isn't just about hosting, it's about search, it's about AI, a bunch of technologies that are accessible through cloud services. And they can offer digital directors a way of delivering much more intelligent services and content and marketing needs far more effectively. And I think probably the final one where digital directors are grappling with situations is trying to understand what decisions to make in the way that they transition the business across to digital from traditional delivery. So we help in the planning stages through really considered discovery programs that help digital directors understand all the dynamics of their internal business and external market forces, user needs and the technologies available, and we can bring those together and help make a business case for the way that they might move forward with a digital transformation. An area that we get involved in quite often is working with client teams to develop an understanding of their current situation and really discover the way forward in terms of how that particular service or technology should be built and delivered in the future. So SCR is a great example of that. And just quickly, SCR is the Structural Engineers Registration Scheme. It is part of the Institute of Structural Engineers. And they deliver a registration scheme for a building so that it complies with strict statutory guidelines. So this is a really important piece of technology because it manages the way that buildings are developed to ensure health and safety, and obviously structural integrity is delivered. And this service is delivered online and has been delivered online for a number of years, but the organisation SCR recognises that the system is very out of date. It's difficult to manage, difficult to make changes to, and it can't flex with the demand of the registrations required. So they needed to make a decision about the way to move forward on a complete ground-up rebuild of the online system. So we worked with them for a period of about 6 months with the whole team at SCR, which is a team of about 12 IT and digital and marketing team, to really get back to basics with the system, which had a vast number of processes within it, and they had a number of different user scenarios. And we worked with them over a number of months to understand those users. We interviewed customers, what they found were the weaknesses of the system, what the strengths were of the system. We looked at different technology choices they could use. We looked at the way that they could re-architect the system, how they could use cloud services instead of installed services. And we built what was a feasibility document about the best way forward for them to move. And that really helped them form the tender process. So that piece of work helped them understand the way that they should move forward with their digital delivery, but also gave them the know-how and the briefing documentation to go to market and find a partner that could deliver that solution. So that kind of scenario is quite commonplace, where organisations need to absolutely sense check what they're doing before they move forward, and they make the key decision about how they're going to build something, what they're going to build it on, how is it going to support their user needs. And that's what we help organisations really get to the bottom of and the basics of. The client, London Luton Airport, has been one of the UK's fastest growing airports. So we've worked with them for 8 years. We built and supported their website. And they're at a point where they really had to decide very quickly about the technology that the website was built on, because it had got to a point whereby that was becoming unsupported. And we were involved with conversations around that. But the procurement teams at London Luton, recognised that the contract had expired, and it was time to go and tender, which is a requirement for large organisations like airports. So we were involved, obviously, in the re-tendering, and we were selected to manage the site for another 5 years. I think that the big driving force behind this is the re-platforming situation. Re-platforming is a term that is used regularly now, and probably wasn't a few years ago. And I think for London Luton Airport, while the front end of their website had been architected and designed pretty well, it was the back end, the content management system, that was out of date and was becoming a security issue. So the first thing that we looked at and we're working on currently is how to re-platform that technology from what is a traditional installed content management system run on a local server to a cloud-based technology that will enable the airport to, first of all, run a system that doesn't require upgrades, which is complicated, but allows them to run a headless solution whereby the content that's used in that website is actually omni-channel, so is used across the airport in multiple locations. So, for example, in customer terminals, in timing boards, and the headless solution integrates really easily with lots of other external providers. So, for example, parking technologies, easy, quick boarding services, with flight times, with weather services. So the re-platforming to a cloud solution for London Luton Airport will provide them with a technology that is going to be limitless for them for the next 5 to 6 years in terms of how they can push content, not just through the airport on a local level, but outside of the airport to customers and passengers that need information before they even get to the airport to travel. So this is a great example of re-platforming in a fairly rapid process without completely rethinking the front end. And that gives London Luton Airport a quick and secure solution that they can build a business on digitally for the next 6 to 7 years.